Welcome to the Awakening Podcast. I'm Collins, and I'm joined with beautiful Jacqueline Prince. And this morning, we're going to discuss the mechanics of manifestation. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Welcome. Good morning. I see you're at the beach this morning.
That's right. Yeah,
Very nice. And you've got internet there on the sand?
I do. I have a little tiny box of of connection.
Isn't it amazing how technology really does allow us to go anywhere in the world and still make connections? So I'm in DC. What beach are you sitting on?
Oh, it's undisclosed location.
Uh,
Very
I,
classified.
okay, I gotcha. I gotcha. These topics that we're discussing are very classified as well, right?
Definitely.
Only for the elite, huh?
That's right.
Does that
Yeah.
make does that make you and I the elite?
Are we the elite or are we the delete?
Oh, yeah, I get it. I don't know how many people will. So, good morning, William. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the mechanics of manifestation this morning. So, um, we previously have talked about the two timelines and how to shift or two timelines, two worlds, two realities. Okay? So, in other words, you've got you've got the world global system in one matrix. You've got the new world that we're moving into that has another entire matrix of reality. And when you tap into the mechanics or the techniques or the steps whereby you manifest the the desires of your heart, uh manifest the hold on, I'm trying to find the manifest the life that you want to live, the life that you choose. When you access your power, which is who you are, which is what you are, which is your inheritance. It's coded in your DNA that you are a being of power, a being far above, far transcending the matrix of fear, scarcity. We talk about this all the time. The matrix of scarcity and lack,
Mm-hmm.
and versus the matrix or the kingdom or the world reality of unlimited supply. So when we access that state of mind where we have complete awareness of the power that we have, and in that power, if we will step into the law, the universal law, right? The principles that that when used and applied actually brings us into becoming a co-creator and creating the life of our dreams. Is that a big topic there?
Yeah, that's a mouthful. You jumped right in the deep end there.
Yeah. So,
And yeah, so we're basically talking about the fundamentals of how to create a life of your dreams. How do you take the things that you desire and how you manifest them into something that's actually um, playing out on this plane or in this reality? Is that just kind of shortening it up? That's kind of what you're talking about?
well, yes. In other words, instead of having the language that, I really hate where I am, everything is always happening to me. Good things always happen to other people, and for some reason, they don't ever happen to me. When we move into the language of manifestation and actually get it, when you actually get that you do have the ability to manifest your dreams, to create and live the life of your dreams, a life of tremendous joy and supply, a life of contentment, satisfaction, um, one of freedom of pain and suffering. And that's a big one, and we won't get into that either. But yeah, and so there are fundamental principles or steps that when we access or tap into or use and apply those steps, each individual has the same potential, the same opportunity to manifest their dreams. So, yeah.
So let's talk about like some of the steps we can take, um, just on a very fundamental level to start to bring these things into reality. Like, can you give an example potentially?
Well, you know, there's a foundation whereby we begin from. In other words, we want to access where is this law? Okay, who established this law? I mean,
Mhm.
how do I know that this is the truth? Okay, because as I said in here, Ernest Holmes, he defined truth as an inquiry into the cause of things. And so when we establish that there is a cause, there's a source
Mhm.
whereby those things that are unseen come into manifest form. So we've got to go back to the cause and begin there. And there are so many ancients, masters that have talked about this area of cause. Ralph Wall, and I'm just going to read some of these so that as we begin to talk about the steps, which is ask, believe, and receive. And we're
Mhm.
going to go into real detail in this podcast, because that's it. I mean, that is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ask, believe, receive. Okay. But I want to try to establish that this is not just some fantastical, wishful, delusional, grandiosely psychotic, schizophrenic, um, talk of a crazy man. Okay. This is what the ancients from the beginning of time have expounded upon. And we've just lost this truth. Okay. So again, Ernest Holmes says that the definition of truth is an inquiry into the cause. So we want to get back to the cause, and we want to begin to we want to take that first step as where is the source of creation. Okay. Ralph Waldo Trine says that the great central fact of the universe is that spirit is the infinite life and the power that is behind all. Now, that's a big one. The power behind everything. Okay. Everything that is animated, everything that manifests itself in and through the all is the self-existent principle of life from which all has come. And not only from which all has come, but from which all is continuing to come. So we realize that Tesla talked about, he was kind of the father of the philosophy of ether force. In other words, he was saying that there is this ether field, which is the substance which surrounds everything and from whence everything comes. So we're tapping into that energy, and he called that field an energy field, a field of vibration. What is it that Einstein says? Einstein says that everything is energy, and that's all there is. Okay. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. So we're tapping into this ether force, which is a vibrational frequency field. And because the human brain was created to as a generator, and which is a transmitter of vibrations, and a receiver of vibrations. We begin to learn to manipulate our own mind instead of being manipulated by an outside force. We become the manipulator, we become the thinker, we become the power behind the creator. And I could go on and on and on. Socrates, Heraclitus, Pythagoras, Plato, Confucius, Lao Tzu, Aristotle, all the secret society, the Skull and Bones, the Freemasons, the Brotherhood, Einstein, Bertrand Russell, Thomas Merton, John Mill, William Blake, Ernest Holmes, Charles Haanel, Neville Goddard, Florence Scovel Shinn, Wallace Waddle, Tesla, Edison, Henry Ford, Andrew Carnegie, Napoleon Hill. I could list an encyclopedia of masters that understood this truth. And there are books, ancient books, volumes of books that are available for us to study and read and learn. So that's kind of the foundation. This is not something new. We didn't just create this during this new age. This is the time where humanity is moving from put away childish things and grow up, become a mature adult. So we're moving out of kindergarten. We've gone through grade school. We've finished high school, and we're kind of moving up into the upper realms of knowledge and wisdom. Our brain, literally, the functioning of the way the brain works, we're moving from the amygdala, the animal brain, up into that frontal cortex, and we have developed in such a way, we've evolved in such a way, that's the evolution of the consciousness of man. We've evolved in such a way that we are ready now to receive this truth. And so there's like a really
Wow, yeah, of course. I think that most people, if they've been interested in this subject before, have picked up some sort of book by one of those great thinkers at some point. I mean, the ones that pop to mind, I think, that you could find at the airport are like Napoleon Hill. And if you ever go into any sort of business class, there's those books are circulating around. So it's really interesting, the crossover between the business world and your personal world that you're creating. Some people want to compartmentalize different parts of their life, and they want to manifest a lot of money over here, but then maybe they're not as responsible in this other area. Maybe that's running out of control. So I think there's just a huge congruence of ideas right here that you're trying to convey. And that's kind of the mechanics we're getting into, right?
and that's kind of good what you just talked about, the compartmentalization. So one of the qualities of awakening, ascension, resurrection while still living, that's really the concept that Jesus brought to the planet, is that he wanted people to know that you don't have to die and go to heaven before you can actually be resurrected into the good life. Okay. And he did that. He walked us through that. He walked us through the dark world. Okay. I mean, and he walked upon the cross. He died of the old world, and he went into, the womb, the void, the darkness, whatever, for the 3 days. And when he was resurrected, he gave us an example. He pointed the way of what that new being, that new man would look like. So where I was going is, when you talk about compartmentalizing, those are all the compartments that humans have lived in darkness. That's we wear the mask of being, the puppet with a happy face, right? But then we lead all these different lives. We've got a We got a business life, we have a family life, we have a party life, we have a, whatever those lives are. Part of one of the qualities or aspects of awakening and ascension is pulling all of those compartments into wholeness, into completion, into oneness, where everything is resonating in harmony. And when all aspects of your life are in harmony, that's when you get the peace, the sense of well-being, the sense of satisfaction. That's when the flow starts happening. This is when life, I'm talking about the, capital L life, really begins flowing through us. And we really begin to experience those moments of bliss, those moments of ecstasy, and we begin to see a world system that could actually be the framework that allows individuals to be happy, prosperous, and flourish in a good life. That's where we're going. And that's what learning the tools of manifestation is giving you the gift and saying you can do what all the masters did, who wrote all the books telling us how to do it. Many of us have read all the books. We know what the words say. We know what the meanings are. And now we're coming into the time where that is you. That's happening to you. You are taking the gift that I'm giving you. You are sitting down with me and you are opening the gift. And when you open that gift, you accept it, embrace it, and then you take it and you use it to create the same life that I am showing you that I've created. I'm telling you and showing you, giving you the gift, the tools for you to do the same thing.
Mm. So are we talking about that first step of asking?
All right, so let's go.
Or am I jumping ahead here?
No.
Okay.
Let's start, because
Right.
that's the meat of the show, right?
Okay.
Is the actual steps. So let's start with, again, I could give you 1,000 places to start our foundation. But me personally, I'm going to start with Mark 11:24. Okay? Whatsoever you desire, that's creating your vision. That's your asking. If you will pray, and I'm going to say meditate, okay? Because to me, that's the same as prayer. Like, I'm really getting into the meditative state. And if you believe that you receive what you ask for, you shall have it. Now, I don't know how much more simple you can get than that.
Mm-hmm.
So the steps are ask, believe, and receive. So we're going to start with step number 1, ask. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And asking is an extremely, well, without asking, you're not going to get anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So before you can ask, you've got to create your vision. What do you want? What is it that you want? You can't ask until you can verbalize. We were talking about the throat chakra opening up right now, yesterday.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Until you can verbalize and speak what you want. What do you want? Get through all the baggage. Let's say that money is not an issue. There are no obstacles. Mountains have been moved. What do you want? Now, just that, you're probably going to come up against your mountains. I'm telling you that the mountains they've already been leveled. That's what happened as we're moving into the new age, into the golden era, when light is dominating darkness. And we're going to begin to see more and more and more examples of that. When you ask, how strongly are you asking? I mean, how strong can you create your vision? So I'm going to ask you that.
How strongly can I create my vision by my
Right.
asking?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I think that's the part that I'm, I think sometimes I have a really strong vision. Sometimes I get distracted and I'm looking here and there, and I lose my vision because I get caught up in things. And so I feel like I go back and forth. Like I think overall I have like a firm vision, but I'm not always there. I'm sometimes I'm down here, cleaning the dishes, taking the trash out, you know, that kind of stuff. I mean, sometimes that's I find that sometimes therapeutic just to be in the moment, just in the mindlessness of the moment. Um, I feel like if you're always up there thinking about things and formulating things, then it's almost like you're spinning off into you kind of lose track of being grounded. And so I feel like there is a balance that has to be struck.
So this is really great. This is a beautiful parlay in step number one in the asking. So let's fine tune. Let's use what you just said, and I'm gonna clarify the step in a way that there's no going back and forth. There's no, well, I'm over here, but now I'm over there. There's no, well, I can't wash dishes, cook and clean, go to the job, take care of my stuff, but hold my asking. Okay. And so when you go to a restaurant, and this example is used all the time, but for me it really works. When you go to a restaurant, you look at the menu, you have to kind of search and think and feel in your heart, wow, what do I really want? Do I really want just, a romaine salad, or do I want a good hamburger? Okay. Takes you a minute to formalize and come to that. This is what I want. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you ask for what you want, waiter comes, it's what I want. That's your affirmation statement, or that's your asking statement. I want this. Okay. Now, part of the asking is also asking it with confidence and knowing, when I ask it, I'm confident that it's what I want. And I know that if I ask it, I will receive it. So I ask for it, the waiter leaves. I don't have to sit at the table with all of my friends and just hold. I asked for a hamburger. I asked for a hamburger. Everybody's talking about they went to the basketball game, they went clothes shopping, but you're sitting, oh, I asked for a hamburger. I asked for a hamburger. No, this is a fallacy. You still cook, you still clean, you still wash dishes, you still go out with friends, you still watch the football game, you still go to a good movie, you still drink a glass of wine, you still walk the dog, you still garden in your garden. You don't have to spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week holding on to your asking. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Yeah.
However, flip side of that is you're always coming back to center. Okay, so let's move to step number two. I've asked, and what after I've asked, I'm still going to work, still have a boss I'm having issues with, I still have a tummy ache. um After you ask, though, you're you're doing a major shifting, and you're shifting into and away from the asking into the brand new position. The brand new position is the belief now that you have what you asked for.
Mm-hmm. Right. And the confidence to know that you can have that, it's provided to you. I think people are, I mean, I'll just say for myself, I mean, I hesitate before I ask for things. I look at that menu, I look over those things. I'm like, well, that, I've been, we've been conditioned to think, okay, well, there's that New York strip. That thing's like $35. I'll take the hamburger because it's $6, right?
Well, and this is part of the development of your mental, of your mind, of your thinking, is we're moving from looking at the external. I'm moving from the strip is $35 to the hamburger is $5. See, right there, you've already now created limitation. I'm not saying that you don't still, you order the hamburger out of discerned wisdom. But what I'm saying is you've got to learn to get away from the thought of lack. Like, oh, I can't ask for an S-Class black on black 4MATIC Mercedes. Well, take I can't out of the way. This is the work now that we're doing, because what we realize is there is a world of unlimited supply, and there is a world where all things exist, just like Tesla created free energy. He was taking out of the ether free energy and wanted to provide free energy to the world. What I'm saying is that ether, that vibrational field, that field of energy, that field of substance, all things that you ask for or are in that field. And it may not be in manifest form today. Okay? That's the confusion, is that we want the unseen to collapse into the seen immediately. And there's a lapse of time, and that lapse of time confuses us, and we get pulled back into, well, I have been programmed to look at the external form and say that that is more real than the world of substance, the field of substance that actually is more real than the material world. So when you ask, you're right, ask with confidence. I want a New York strip.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
And,
you may not order it in the material world. That's what I want, and that's what I'm going to get. And I'm going to walk in here someday and I'm ordering a new New York strip. It's that kind of mental confidence that we're beginning to build.
right. And that's around, I guess the example we're using is manifesting like a physical abundance of some sort. That's just the example we're throwing out here. But I was just going to say that as far as the mechanics of asking go, let's say that, okay, so this asking, because we're just taking this example, let's say we don't have something that we want, and that is in alignment with who we are and our path and our mission on earth. Is that those have to align, right? So like, how about if I ask and I say, I hate my neighbor. I wish I wish his house would fall over. I'm going to ask that. That's probably out of alignment with my mission on earth. That's just me being an egotistical maniac about a disagreement I have for a minute with that guy, right?
Well, it's out of alignment if you're operating in the new world. That mindset does not exist in the new world, because again, you're looking at your neighbor is a projection of what's going on inside of you. If your inner realm of reality is one of peace, love, and harmony and goodwill towards all men, you're not seeing your neighbor
So,
as your enemy.
right. So that's the presumption that that's what's going on with you to be able to do this asking, is that you have these prerequisites sorted out. Like you are at peace with yourself. You know what your mission is. You
No,
know,
because now because now you're saying that I've got to be perfect before the law works, and that's now let's go in a perfect law. If you perfectly say I hate my neighbor and I want my neighbor out of here, and you're really adamant about that, you can actually create a a a a, a very not nice experience for your neighbor. If but what happens is, and this is a very complicated part of the law, is what you're requesting on your neighbor is going to come back on you,
right.
and that's going to happen to you.
It's kind of like an egregore, or you bring up a demonic concept or something like that.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
So the asking is just an asking out of the heart. And this is where you come into the heart, you spend time in your heart. It says when you ask in prayer, okay? That means, and I like to say meditation. For me, that just works better when I sit with myself and I'm looking inside of myself and I'm looking at my heart. I'm asking myself, what is my dream life? What do I want? Maybe it is just a car. Maybe it is just a new relationship. Or maybe I just want more love in the current relationship that I'm in. Maybe it is just, I really don't want to have neighbors all around me. I would like to live out in the rural area. But the point I'm making is you've got to create your vision. Without a vision, my people perish. And so the asking is the first step. Let's move on to the second step, believing in what you ask for. You're shifting from what you've asked into the believing that what you have asked is already here now. Now, what the obstacle in this step happens when you ask to have a house on the beach. Okay, this is what I did 10 years ago. No, it was 08. We're almost 12 years ago. I grew up on the beach in Oregon, spent summers on the beach at my uncle's I wanted to live on the beach, and I manifested that. Okay. And so what happens though is that when we ask for, and because I write, and I wanted a place that inspired me to write. But what happens is when we move from the asking over to the believing, we start looking at what we don't have as the evidence of that I can't believe it, because if I'm looking externally, I don't have it. And this is the training of the mind. This is the shifting. This is be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is the new thought mind. This is the mind of the creator that says, I have that thing and I have it now, though it is unseen. I believe that I believe that I believe that I believe that I believe. Not only do I believe, but I know that I will have it in external form. If I hang on to the frequency of belief over a long period of time that it takes, however long. Actually, right now, the time frames in manifestation are just are crazy right now.
Yeah, and I think even things that I don't know, things like I had thought about living in the mountains, right? That was something I wanted to try to do. I wanted to get out of the DC area, get out into the mountains. That all happened really fast. I got a job out in Denver, and then I was like, well, Denver's kind of still the city. And then I like think, well, it would be nice to really be in the mountains, but like the real mountains, not like nothing. I'm not knocking Colorado or anything, but I'm in Montana right now, right up with the grizzly bears and everything, and
Wait a
it's the
minute,
real
wait a minute.
it's
I
the real
thought you were on the
mountains.
beach.
Oh well, I teleport back and forth.
Okay. And that's that instant teleport,
That's
right?
it's that little black box over there that.
Yeah, yeah. So there you go.
But I mean, this is stuff that it kind of in the back of your mind. I think that's another thing to think about because I think people have tremendous limitations around what they're asking for. And I think an easy thing to ask for is I'm going to ask for the travel wish. I'm going to jump on that airplane and fly to God knows where I have some interest, right? It's usually beaches, mountains. Um, I don't know, maybe have some cultural interest of some sort. And you want to go visit that place, maybe and a lot of it's around the Instagram, right? I want to be there in that spot so I can get the photo. And then I want to come back and almost want to brag that I did X amount of countries and you didn't. But I think if you actually travel in the meaningful way, yes, it's a huge educational experience. But I think a lot of people, I mean, the cruise industries, I'm going to knock that a little bit because you're on a floating hotel kind of thing. A lot of people just want to be taken somewhere, go somewhere, get the picture, and then come back. So I think these kind of there's a lot of low level manifestation that I think is culturally acceptable. And I think what you're trying to say here is like we got to break through that. Like everyone here has some amazing missions that they could be on if they just if they just had inspiration around the potential of what they could do.
Well, and this
I
is
think we just
part,
limit ourselves. I mean, I'm a great example. Like I don't think I've just because of I'm not going to blame anybody. It's not time to do that, but it's take the handcuffs off and really think about the potential that you have.
and that is can only be done and will only be done in the hearts and minds of each individual. This is what we talked a little bit about last week is we're at that crossroads, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're at that crossroads between two timelines. You have the opportunity to, you know, come to the end of the walk through the valley of the shadow of death and come to that light at the end of the tunnel. And light at the end of the tunnel is not just a light, it's a place. I need people to understand that we're going to a place, a real, tangible, spirit collapsed into form, unseen collapsed into seen. We're creating a new world with new thought. And so in the mechanics of the evolution of consciousness, as humanity is moving into this ability to realizing, oh my gosh, I really can manifest. It's like putting a kid in a candy store. They're gonna, until they get enough nourishment, knowing that they can have what they want, that there is not scarcity, there is not just a limited supply. We will evolve very quickly past, I just want to go on a plane ride to the beach. The and they're going to realize that, oh, I was at the beach for 2 weeks and now I'm home. But you know what? Wow, what would it be like if I actually lived in a community on the beach and actually participated in the spirit of the wave and the sun and the wind and the surf as part of a whole life. Remember, we're talking about coming into completion, coming into wholeness. This is creating a lifestyle. We don't just diet for 14 days. We create a lifestyle where we have shifted from eating bags of potato chips and drinking 6 packs of Coke, to eating my you know, my pear, my yesterday I made
Or
some cauliflower. I mean, you
yeah,
create a lifestyle where you are participating in a new way of living in a community, and you're bringing your light to that community. You are claiming territory. You can walk into a dark place anywhere, and by the power of the light that you have developed and created in your heart and the projection of your mind, you can claim territory wherever you go. So yeah, we're going to see this time where people are trying to shift from, they're at the crossroads. They've got both worlds there. They've got two parallel timelines going on. They got the timeline of fear and control and enslavement, and then they've got this other message over here that's saying, if you'll come over here and learn how to think, learn how to be a captain of your ship, master of your destiny, learn how to create a mind that is powerful and is no longer weak but is strong, no longer a coward or a victim, but a master creator. People are going to just start crossing over very, very quickly.
yeah. And I think the other word to think about, I mean, it's a word I think about on a daily basis because I fluctuate pretty dramatically, and I just have to have patience. I have to patience with myself. Um, I think we're in a time when there is, I know it's an overused word, but I think it's very easy to get triggered around things. And, you see something, you experience something, you feel an energy come in, and you just, it's very easy to get distracted. I mean, it pulls you away from maybe what you know you need to be working on. And I think patience is key because you will come back to that. It might not be this minute, this hour, this day, even this week, maybe even the year, but you will flow back to it. And I think, like you said, I think the meditation practice is extremely important to find that time during the day, or, whatever frequency you can do it in, to bring yourself back, keep coming back and back. And you keep telling this over to me, Jacqueline, like, come back, because I find myself it's easy to be distracted. I mean, whatever your choices, TV, friends, travel,
And the question
whatever,
is,
right?
do you want to keep living the way you're living? That's what you asked. Now, when you say you want to lose weight, or you say you want to go to school and get a degree, or when you say you want to do this or you want to do that, do you take the time to go work out or to prepare your meals so that you're gonna? Yes, you do. When you say, I want to be this, but I need to go to training, I need to stand in front of a teacher, and I need to learn and acquire the tools to become an electrician or a plumber, or to become a teacher, or a chef, or you don't question that you've got to go out and do the work to acquire the talent to become that which you want to become. So this is the mindset. Either you learn how to think the way you're supposed to think to be a creator, or you don't. See, this is the free will. The law says that whatever you think, you're going to get it. So the reality is that if you look at your life and say, this is not the life that I want to live, the law is that, well, you created that life. Nobody created that life for you. And so when I keep saying, come back to center, it's not even about, setting up 5 minutes in the morning, or 10 or 15 or 20 to meditate, and then making sure that you do. It's about constantly coming back in every moment to center,
Mm-hmm.
and taking an assessment of where you are right now. Are you feeling good? Are you happy? are you where you want to be? And continuing to 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 take hold of the wheel of the ship and direct it towards the charted path that you charted. That's the work. So we're coming to the end here.
Mm-hmm.
Today, the mechanics, the steps, the techniques are very simple. Number one,
Mm-hmm.
ask. Shift from the asking now into the believing. And then we didn't even get into the receiving part, which is
Right.
another. So do you have anything that you want to
No,
comment?
I was really, I think it was great to talk about the asking. I think that's so key, like just kicking off the process. I think like, I'd like to hear more about the receiving and the holding the beliefs. So we could probably like do a part 2 of this or something.
We could do a
Yeah.
part 2 next week. I think that,
Yeah.
I have heard, individuals say, well, do we need to keep talking about the same thing? The reality is yes, 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 yes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
over and over and over and over and over, so that your mind, every time, when you have a personal trainer, what does a personal trainer do?
A motivator, it's motivation. Usually their person's there to kick you in your behind.
Right.
So that you do the pull-ups, you do the push-ups, you do the stretches, you rehab the injury. It's usually around an injury. Yeah, I mean, as far as, and that's the
You
whole
keep
thing is like,
working it.
right. And whatever strategy works for you. For me personally, when I have an injury or I get thrown off a track, when I can't walk, I don't have the full functionality that I'd like to have. That throws me into the asking process. I'm going to ask for full functionality back so I can do all the things I like to do, because those are important to me. So
and take that little lesson when you get knocked off your bodily functioning, power, like you're less than what you were the day before the accident, right? You're put into a position where you recognize, whoa, this is not the way I want my body to function. I am not able to do the hikes that I want to do. I'm not able to walk to the places that I want to walk. I'm not living to my full potential. It should be that same way with your lifestyle. Are you living the life that you want to live? Are you happy? Are you experiencing the experience that you want to experience? Do you feel satisfied? Do you feel complete? Do you feel whole? If the answer is no, then there's no reason why you should not ask for a different life, because you're the one that needs to ask, and you're the only one that can actually bring it about. That's the law of creation. Nobody else can create the life you want.
mm-hmm.
You're not even
Mm-hmm.
going to want the same life that I want. Every individual is responsible for creating their own life.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, great. Well, hey, thanks for joining us again. This has been the Awakening Podcast. I'm Collins. This is Jacqueline. Thanks for joining us. And we will have a part 2 next week. I'm so excited to keep talking about this subject. I love this stuff. So thanks guys for coming out and listening and putting the time in. Namaste.
Namaste. We love you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.